Come to the big time. The 8 then.
Yeah, you haven't got
0.2x stuff in 3 hands.
Exactly.
Sorry, good play with A-Round.
Good game, Nick. It's a good play, right?
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome back to the 10th PokerStars.net Caribbean Adventure from the Atlantis Resort and Casino on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. 3 players remain at the final table of the main event. Jerry Wong, the monster chip leader, with 15.4 million. Dimitar Danchev from Bulgaria with 7.1 million. And Joel Mika with 5.8 million. James Hartigan and Joe Stapleton, joined by 2003 World Series of Poker main event champion and the face of Team PokerStars Pro, Chris Moneymaker. Good to have you back, Chris.
It is great to be here. I look forward to the 3-way action. It looks like I just caught the last end of the last hand. Jerry caught a good river, so it should be fun.
Well, if you've just joined us on the live stream and want to know what's the story so far, how did we get from 8 to 3? Let's recap the action. The first play we lost was João Nogueira. The Portuguese player was here for $1.10. He walked away with 165 grand. Jan Dion, one of 3 Canadians at the final table, was next to go in 7th. And then we saw a double elimination. Andrei Shatilov and Owen Crow. Shatilov took 6th, Owen Crow took 5th. And then we lost Jonathan Roy, the 3rd and final Canadian involved in a huge flip against Jerry Wong. His pocket 7s cracked by Ace Jack. And that leaves us with the 3 players we have now. And looking at the chip stacks, Joe, it doesn't really do it justice. Jerry Wong, early doors, was down to next to nothing and is now the massive chip leader. Roller coaster ride doesn't even begin to describe it.
You know, he got doubled through twice at the start of the day today. Maintained his composure, got up from the table, talked to his friends. You're going to laugh. He had a snack. But these are important things in order to sort of keep your head in the game.
You know what? I had forgotten the banana equity. That is huge.
It's all been turnaround since banana time.
Well, you also forgot the equity that if he busts, then what does Stapes have to talk about for the next, like, 4 hours? He's got all the wongs and
That's right, yeah.
euphemisms that he's been using. It just takes all those out of play. So.
He's also got pun equity.
Yes, pun equity is what's done it.
If you want to get in touch, use the hashtag PCALive or email nuts@pokerstars.tv. So blinds are now 8160.
And make sure you use that hashtag PCALive because, you know, on some of the breaks I get to check my @replies on Twitter. A lot of you are tweeting at me. I don't have access to those while we're live on the air, so make sure you use PCALive. James is the keeper of the tweets. I have no say.
By the way, blinds are 60-120. My apologies. The next level will be the 8160 level. Still playing a 10K ante as well.
270? 270.
First hand back from the break is hand number 93 of the final table. It's a blind-on-blind confrontation. Mika raises the small.
Now, if you just look purely at the stack sizes, you'll see that Mika is the short stack, quote-unquote, with 5.8 million. Danchev, 7.1 million. Jerry, over 10 million. Excuse me, 15 million for Jerry. It looks like Mika is a short stack. He's still got 48 big blinds. So although he is the short S stack, his stack is not short.
This is like my most expensive hoodie for real.
Yeah, I mean, they're really deep right now. There's a lot of play left. I mean, that's why you see 8. You're going to see a lot of. This is going to be fun to watch because you're going to see a lot of flops. You're going to see a lot of different hands than you might normally see in some kind of tournaments later. So this should be good.
Go with Ace Jack, and the continuation bet gets it done.
It was the best hand, although with 8-4, lots of runner draws there. I don't know how you don't see a turn.
Again, that's why Stapes in the booth.
So
Two cards
again,
that come. I mean, come on.
if you have just joined us and want to know a little bit more about these players, Dimitar Danchev, who we just saw, who's sitting in the number 2 seat, is the Bulgarian PokerStars qualifier, qualified via a $700 satellite. He's had a 2nd place finish on the tour in October 2011, season 8 of the EPT. Came 2nd to Andrei Patichuk in San Remo. Jerry Wong is from Plattsburgh, USA. He's got results that go back 5 years. His biggest result so far was at the World Poker Finals in Mashantucket. And this will be his,
That's Foxwoods.
and it'll be his biggest live score to date wherever he finishes in this tournament.
And being from Plattsburgh, right now he is here in the Bahamas. Plattsburgh probably has a good 3 to 4 feet of snow on the ground there, I'd be willing to guess.
There's the password for the free roll, by the way. Dibella is the password you need to get registered in that game. $1,500 in the prize pool. You'll find it in the PCA section of the tournament lobby. And Joel Mika, he's the last player at this table. Former tournament chip leader, originally from Washington State, now lives all across the world, Thailand, Canada, Costa Rica, plays online as JM Prodigy. His biggest result to date was nearly $150,000, which is what the runners-up spot paid at the LAPT event in San Jose back in 2008.
And that's Mika, JM Prodigy's Mika?
Yep.
Correct.
I know that name pretty well.
History with JM Prodigy?
I do have quite a bit of history, and he's my new favorite to win the tournament at this point.
Danchev's button raise was called by Mika in the big blind. And 10 high is still good, but he will fold to the c-bet from Danchev.
10 high was ahead, but not likely to think it is, and also not a ton of equity there, considering Danchev flopped.
He's my roommate.
That
Joel,
open-ender.
I mean, JM Prodigy is obviously a supernova player on Stars, no real surprise there. And those guys who are railing him with the US flag, they are also supernova players who have a cut of his action.
I'm always completely surprised when a supernova player is not completely obese.
Yeah, you live in LA.
Because
Like
that's,
Chris Moneymaker?
are you supernova?
I am Supernova, yes.
Oh boy,
Yes.
well, I really stepped in it this time.
Chill.
Yeah, thanks, I appreciate it.
I wouldn't say obese,
Yeah.
Chris.
Backtrack?
I would say healthy. Is that good?
Big boned, healthy,
Look
it all
healthy.
works.
Okay, back to the action. Mika raising small to big, queen 7 suited.
Raise from the small, makes it $275.
Danchev thinking of defending.
Don't say that one.
Someone on Twitter confirming the history between Moneymaker and Prodigy. Danchev 3 bets a little loose and gets a fold. We can see why he's the top player in Bulgaria, James, with moves like that.
Stephen on Twitter says, watching PCA Live with my dad while he's playing in the Sunday Million, stopping him from tilting. Shout out. There you go, consider that a shout out. Now, Downswing Drome is getting really annoyed because he's tweeted the same thing about 20 times and I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I will get to your tweets, you just gotta give me time. It says, wishing my bud the Hyper Sit and Go Whiz. 1 Gear Go from Norway. Good luck in his quest to Supernova Elite this year. Thanks, guys.
Now, from Norway, he's probably not obese. But to make Supernova Elite, I don't even know if you can leave your house. Unless you have the new PokerStars mobile app. Am I right, everybody? All the suits are nodding. Yes, you got it, guys.
States just got a raise.
What's 10% of nothing?
I'm just in it for the Twitter followers. It's not about the money for me. That's at Stapes on Twitter, by the way, everyone. At Stapes.
I'm gonna check. Do you have? I'm sure you have more than me because I don't have that many.
I don't think so. You're a world champ.
Yeah, no, but I don't do Twitter.
It's a Queen Jack 6 flop, which sees Wong move in front, having flattered Danchev's pre-flop raise. Danchev does not continue.
Danchev's making all the right moves now. Are they for the right reasons? Wong decides to go for a little value now. He's not going to get it. Just keep stacking those chips, buddy.
Wong with 15.75 million. Only a 2-to-1 chip lead over Danchev, who's second on the leaderboard. He has 56% of the chips in play. This three-handed action continues. This is the final table of the main event. A reminder that tomorrow on PokerStars.tv or on the PokerStars TV mobile app, you can watch the final table of the high roller. Last time we checked in on that tournament, they were down to 4 tables. Once they're down to 1 table, they'll stop for the day, and we'll pick up the action at 2 Eastern tomorrow. They play down to a winner.
They had over 200 people on that thing, or almost 200 people.
I think it was 200 total.
200 entries, yeah.
200 entries. That's just absolutely insane. It's going to be a good final table to watch.
There's nothing these guys like more than winning money, so I'm sure it'll be quite the battle tomorrow.
It's not even so much about winning money. It's, you know, the mental warfare and playing with guys at the top level. It can be fun sometimes. It's really intense.
Well, sure. I mean, there has to be plenty of that, because why else would you enter like the most ridiculous 200-person field that's probably ever been had?
Oh, it's insane. There's literally, I mean, if you value money, there's not a whole lot of value in that tournament. I end up playing the 100 or the 1K rebuy instead, just for value's sake. I mean, there was no value in the 25K.
Ego value.
Yeah, I've got enough of that for myself. I don't need any more.
Raise. 240.
Button waves from Jerry Wong. 8-5 off suit. And the legitimate hand for Mika, ace-queen in the small blind.
I don't know how many people are watching, you know, that don't play a lot of poker, but I mean, you know, you see someone raise with like an 8-5, and some people might be wondering what's going on.
705.
I mean, if you're in the button, obviously position's so big. I mean, you're going to see people. Every button is going to open for the min raise or 2.5 just from now on. That's just when you get down to 2 and 3 handed. That's just sort of how it goes. So,
and especially when you're the overwhelming chip leader and people have to be a little more likely to have a hand.
Yeah,
stand up to you.
But I mean, even so, I mean, you're pretty deep. Even I would expect Mika even to open up every single button. I'd be surprised. He might fold a couple 9-4 offsuits, or 7 deuce offsuits, things like that. But I would expect Mika to open raise just about every single button.
And sure, check this out. I mean, if you know that your opponents aren't 3-betting very often, raising is the right move. Like, those two guys are 3-betting 11 and 6% of the time.
240 on the fence.
Yeah, that definitely helps. If you're in a table that's 3-betting you a ton, then you might have to do a little lockdown poker, but obviously these guys are not doing that, so you're pretty much free to open just about anything and see flops, and anytime you can see flops in position, I'll take any 2 cards and see what happens.
Jerry Wong, you'll notice, much more successful pre-flop than he is post-flop. The other guys have a winning record both pre and post.
It's kind of weird that Jerry Wong has such a big lead with those stats. I mean, you know, play post flop and you're 4 and 5. That's
Raise.
not.
240.
Danchev raises button. Just a king showing.
240 on the fence.
He's going to win the blinds and antes.
Saskaloon on Twitter says, cheers from Canada. It's as cold as can be up in Saskatoon. Good action, eh?
Saskatoon's a real place, huh?
And we see the VPIP, which is very similar. All 3 players above the table average. As these stats tracked from the very first hand of the final table through to hand 101.
And they're all playing about 1 out of every 4 hands.
Raise. 240.
We expect those numbers to rise as 3-handed play continues.
Raises makes it 240,000.
Call.
Call in the small. Zimbatar in the big.
Playing 3-handed this deep, it's very creative hands, and you're going to see a lot of different play. I expect these guys to, I mean, I do have history with Mika, and I expect him to mix it up quite a bit and play really creatively, because they are pretty deep. If Mika had more chips, I would expect it to be really creative, but unfortunately I'm not as familiar with Wong and Danchev, but I know Mika has many different gears, and they could really come out with a deep stack three-handed game.
I was wondering whether we were going to go three-way to a flop here, but Danchev's tried to ruin that party by three-betting. A squeeze play with the Jack-7. Wong, the original raiser, folds. Does Mika want to see a flop with 9-10 of diamonds?
In position, probably a little bit more likely. I don't think these guys have any clue yet that Danchev has been getting out of line occasionally.
Well, they know that on more than one occasion, he's called a big bet on the turn or on the flop, looking for a four-outer, and has got there both times.
That's true. Joel has made the call out of position. Boards that hit one of these guys are kind of likely to hit them both.
Queen 6 tray rainbow.
I like Danchev at this point. Mika's going to have to really pull something out here to win this. This is such the benefit of being the aggressor, because when you both miss, the aggressor's always going to win.
550.
Danchev continues for 550,000.
There you go.
Gets the job done. Got an email from Rob to nuts@pokerstars.tv. It says, Chris, have you played much against Sammy Farha since your infamous heads-up battle at the World Series main event?
I played with him in a cash game a couple years after the fact, and then I played in the rematch with him. That's the only times I've seen him. But you don't see Sammy on the tournament trail. You don't see him much. He lives in Houston. I think he plays a lot of home games there. I did an appearance with him at one point, but it's not. You just don't run across him very often.
You guys do meet for dinner once a month, though.
Yeah, we're BFFs.
I'd forgotten about the whole rematch thing they did at the series. Like the fans had to vote which heads-up matches they wanted to see again.
Well, they had me and him, and then they had, I think it was Phil Helmuth and Eric Seidel, and then the third match was you voted.
That's right.
Now Mika raised with 240 to 240 on the button. Is that correct here?
That's correct.
Okay.
Min raise.
Oh.
Looks like Wong's going to defend with his baby ace.
Jack, Jack 5.
Ace high still good.
Check.
Often we see in these hands,
I
though, it's
expect
the
Juan.
guys in position who...
I expect Juan to continue here, though. That's a good flop for an ace high. Three-handed play. I expect him to peel at least one time. He's going to make. I would expect him to make Mika earn this one at least.
Sorry, can I have a cocktail?
Call one street, maybe see if he shuts down.
That does happen quite a bit, and you know.
Yeah, I think ace high is going to be good here enough.
Yeah, especially on this type board. I mean, Mika continues. That's really tough for him to have a whole lot. Now Wong does pick up a straight draw. I expect Wong to defend again if Mika does continue, which he
He
did.
doesn't. Checks behind.
Uh-oh.
Pairs his queen.
Now at this point, you know Mika probably doesn't have a pocket pair. He probably would have continued on the turn a lot of times, maybe. I mean, especially three-handed. So when he does bet the river here, it's a pretty good indication. As A.E. Jones, what we were talking about earlier, he's going to be polarized. He's either going to have it a lot of the times or he's not. So could be a tough spot with an ace deuce.
Well, we know Joel's confident his queen's good.
Yeah, I would be pretty confident right now betting king queen.
So that's 575,000.
Wong just has to decide if he's up against the three-barrel bluff there. Excuse me, not three-barrel. Check, check on the turn. Makes the right lay down, though.
Hello to Martin on Twitter. He asked, what's the prize pool, guys? Well, the total prize pool for the tournament was nearly $9.6 million. What's still in play? Well, the next guy out gets $725,000. We've got some really big jumps now. Nearly $1.2 million for the runner-up, and then nearly $1.9 million to the winner. And it was no surprise last year when Carl Julius and John DeBella got heads up that they looked at the numbers and cut a deal, because when you get heads up with the blinds high, with the variance in no limit hold'em, you'd understand why someone would want to lock up a decent sum of money.
Chris, what kind of payout structure do you prefer? I actually like a little bit of a flatter structure. I know everyone loves the top heavy tournament, you know, the winner getting a massive amount. I like seeing it spread around a little bit more.
I don't mind the spread out. It's good for the poker economy, paying more people. It keeps everybody in sort of action. It's tough enough to get into the tournament.
You look like you were going to check.
I could definitely see a little bit coming off the top and paying some of the smaller spaces. Of course, then unless I'm deep in the tournament, then I want it top heavy as can get. But the thing is, I don't expect them to chop at this point, just for the simple fact they are. I mean, there's still a lot of play. I mean, these guys might talk chop once you get down to where the average blind is 25 big blinds, but at this point, there's still a lot of play left. I mean, if someone thinks that they have an edge at this point, which, I do know JM. I've played with him several times. I know his probably thinking is that he does have an edge. So, I mean, even though he is the short stack, the other guys, I'm sure that they don't want to chop right now. I'm sure Wong didn't want to chop when he's got a 3-1 chip lead.
Oh, no.
So Wong limped from the small. Mika then raised the big to 345,000. Wong calls.
Checks.
7, 8, 10 flop. 2 of clubs on the turn. 2 clubs, 2 spades on board.
Wong with a pair, Mika with a draw.
After the check on the flop, I don't expect Wong to go anywhere ever on this board. So Mika probably is, he's got a draw. I'd like to see it as cheap as possible if I'm in his shoes.
Deuce is certainly a pretty good card for Wong.
Yep, it doesn't change anything. Wong's not even going to give him a chance to see it, which is good. He's going to bet out here. I expect Mika to call and see what happens. Obviously, Mika's praying that Wong has a 9 as well, and Jack hits on the river. That would be special for him.
Heck yeah.
So 360,000 apiece. The river brings a 6.
He got there. And the good thing is it didn't bring the club flush.
Backdoor flush did come in. Less concerning.
It's actually the front door flush, I guess.
The front door flush, that's the one. The one you were expecting.
There's no bet on the flop, so it doesn't change a whole lot. I would assume Wong's in check call mode, or he might try to value bet real small, just not get raised.
Might bet for a little less than a third of the pot.
Yeah, real small bet.
Gotta be expecting a raise.
I wouldn't expect a raise all the time here. I could see Mika raising here, but I mean, if he gets re-raised, I mean, he can't beat anything. So
just a call.
It's just going to be a call a lot of the times.
Wins with the straight.
Yeah, the problem is you raise there and you re-pop in no man's land.
Okay, see that?
Keep it racking them up.
He has a pretty good rail here. And the rail's been drinking.
No kidding. Christopher has a question on Twitter. He says, cheers to the PCALive team from Canada. PokerStars rules. It's my dream to compete in the Bahamas. And I know this is a question you've been asked a lot, Chris, but he wants to know, how has your life changed since that big win? Nearly 10 years ago now.
Well, obviously the biggest change is I get to travel and do this type of stuff with you guys. I mean, I would be sitting behind...
We're talking about good changes, Chris.
Oh, well, sorry. I don't have to sit behind a desk every day. I get to play poker for a living. There are some responsibilities like sitting in the booth, which is pain, but Other than that, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean,
I cannot raise, right?
I'm obviously very happy with my life and happy with everything that's going on, and hopefully poker comes back into the U.S. and I can start playing online again like everybody else. But now I just get to travel.
Yeah, me and Jens Dion had like 30 fans over there on the rail, which was pretty cool. All of our friends are playing the PCA, so they were still here, so it was pretty cool to have all of those people in the rail.
Jonathan Roy, our 4th place finisher, went out just before the break, and now we are 3-handed.
Wonder who that dealer's here sweating.
Raise 300.
Danchev web slinging his raise in. King 8 of hearts.
Wong keeps picking up hands.
Yeah, now and if you're long here, it's a good spot to re-raise. But the problem is you are pretty deep. You got the other guy's pretty short at this point. You do have both 2 to 1. I wouldn't want to blow the pot too much out of position because you know when you do 3-bet here, Danchev's going to call a very, very wide range of his hand. So I would expect a flat call here.
There it is. There's the flat call.
Glasses go on, the hood comes up. 6-5-10 rainbow flop. Ace high still good.
Both missed. Danchev's equity reduced from 40% to 30%.
Which probably makes this about a 50-50 hand. Wong might try to keep him honest on the flop, but
Well, Danchev doesn't have a gut shot, so maybe he won't call.
He's got a backdoor gut shot.
A couple of backdoors out there.
you just got to look how many times does Danchev shut it down on the turn when he gets called. And, you know, Wong's been playing with him a long time, so hopefully he should know that by now. That's a really bad card for Danchev. It's going to inspire Wong to call a little bit more often. So if he does decide to double barrel, he might get called anyways.
What? Oh, yeah.
It's going to take more than a double barrel,
You didn't
more
know
than
about
likely.
that?
Yeah, that wasn't the best card for him. It depends on how much he bets here.
You should show that to them.
Bet about half
That'd
the
probably be
pot.
funny.
I expect Wong to almost call this here with position.
500.
He's got an overcard, a gut shot, a hand that'll sometimes be best.
Yep.
And he does call. So we've got 2.8 million in the middle nearly.
Danchev hit another river.
Now can Danchev fire the 3rd bullet, or does he give up?
And if he does,
Does it even work?
exactly, that's the key question.
I think if he fires like 1.4, I think it'll work. I don't know how Wong's been calling, if he's been calling a lot light. But it's easy to stay from this standpoint, but
I mean, anything open-ended on the flop. Just got there, just made a hand.
yeah, and he could definitely have open-ended. I mean, that's what, you know, there's one thing that you can have a lot of 3 4s, 7 8s, 4
Loading
7
up.
suiteds. I mean,
He's loading up.
Yeah, this isn't the worst card to try to
1650.
rep a hand on.
1,650,000.
Yeah.
1,650,000.
that's going to take a big call from Wong. That's a good bet. I mean, I expect him to fire 1.3 or 1.4. I think it's going to get through. I think that's a good bet.
I think this bet shows a lot of heart at the very least.
Oh, for sure. It's a really well-played hand by Danchev. He played this hand well, and I think he should be rewarded for it.
Now, from the flip side, if Wong can find a call here, that would be absolutely
Well, Wong's looking
soul
at
reading.
Wong's looking at. I mean, at this point, you know, he's looking at Danchev having king-queen type hand. I mean, you know, he's going to continuation bet almost every single flop on this point, so he knows that when the queen comes on the turn, You know, he's representing a lot of king queens. He's actually representing a lot of king jacks as well. He's gonna fire the king jack. So I mean, he's gonna fire quite a bit of boards here. So it's not crazy call by any stretch. I mean, if he does have a 10, he has a 6 or a 5. You know, he's probably going to check this board. He's going into check call mode. So there's a lot more bluffs here than there are actual hands.
Oh boy.
This could be a really good call by Wong.
I'm not specifically rooting against anyone, but I love people making sick calls. Jerry Wong making this call here would be thrilling.
A little bit. You know, he's obviously in the tank right now. I mean, because there are so many hands that he does miss with his board. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, he's betting like a king-queen type hand, and that's about it at this point. Or if he somehow flopped 2 pair or set.
Oh boy.
He's been thinking for nearly 2 minutes.
And this is one of those situations where you can totally understand it.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where you see people tank for a minute, 2 minutes. You're just like, what in the world are you doing? But you know, this is a good spot. Maybe not to tank for this long. I don't ever tank for this long, I don't think.
Knowing what the cards are, I'm totally fine with the tank.
Yeah, even if you have ace
But
jack
they
in this
don't
spot,
know what the cards are, so.
when you have ace jack in this spot, you're already thinking on the turn. You know what you're going to do, sort of. So that's one thing I'll never understand about the tank on the river. I mean, you sort of have an idea. If this guy bets this range, I know what I'm going to do based on what hands come out on the river. I mean, I have a pretty good idea when I call the turn bet what my decision is going to be on the river based on the card that comes and how much he bets.
You gotta wonder if him knowing that in 40 minutes he's gonna know what he was up against here makes a difference in his decision also.
It does change things, yeah. I mean, when you know that you can come back and you are really deep, you know you're going to be playing in 40 minutes, or you think you're going to be playing in 40 minutes.
On 3 minutes now.
He made a little motion towards the pot with that chip. Quick glance over at Danchev. Looking for any information he can get. Was Danchev the guy whose hand shook earlier when he had a huge hand?
Yes.
He's awfully calm now that he's bluffing.
He had a big hand tail shake.
I don't know if it was a tell or some people just have shaky hands, so you know it's hard to tell sometimes. But he had a monster hand early on, and he
Nut
fumbled.
flush.
Fumbled.
Flopped it.
That's right. Flopped the nut flush. And
I'm sorry, it's going on 4 minutes for this decision. I mean, I don't think I've thought about 4-minute decision ever in my life.
He's calling.
nice call.
That's a good call, very good call.
Big call by Wong. And he is right. Ace high is good.
You just got looked up
Takes
like a phone book.
Big chunk out of Danchev's stack. The Bulgarian, 4.8 million. Wong up to nearly 17 million now.
Danchev's talking to himself right now. Yeah, the one thing, you know, when you make this bet, you got to realize if you have a 10, 5, or 6 at this point, you're checking. You're in check call mode. So you can take that out of his range automatically. Unless you've been playing a lot with him, and then you know people are calling light, you can bet with him.
Nice call.
There's the new chip stacks. Dimitar Danchev, obviously probably reeling a bit from that. Still's got 40 big blinds.
Yeah, when you get called down like that, that can be a little bit disheartening. So
When you get your lunch eaten like that, I think so.
yeah, Danchev needs to step back and just wait a few hands and relax, compose himself.
What if we
He's
don't
gotten to the
wanna
top 3, so I
break? Do we
expect him
still
to
have
do
to
so.
take
He's
one?
obviously a
If we
very,
all
very
agree,
good player.
we still have to take one.
So I expect him just to chill out for a few minutes. And he's either going to chill out or he's going to go berserk, one of the two.
I mean, if it gets to heads up and there's, then we'll maybe go another level. We have to take a break on the camera.
Yeah, the TV people are in the same. 240?
Yeah, 240.
Danchev back in the action, raising his button.
I guess he either found a hand or he didn't want to take a break one. I hope they don't show the other card because it could be interesting. Because it could be obviously anything. I would expect more Jack 9s, Jack 8s, Jack 10s type range.
Hopefully. We hope he's not back in there with a piece of cheese after a big loss.
Well, he's on the button, so a piece of cheese is going to work a lot of times too. The button is pretty powerful. Wong with the 3-bet. He's putting pressure right back on him, which I don't know how much I like. If you just beat someone out of a pot and you just sort of called like this, I don't know how much I like the 3-bet with an ace-4.
I mean, isn't the tendency to think that the guy could be steaming and might even be raising a little wider than he should be normally?
Oh, of course it is, but the problem is you're out of position and you know the guy's steaming, and you know the guy's more prone to call, and you got an ace-4. So, I mean, if he does call, you're not really
You don't want to call.
You don't really want to call with ace-4.
So Danchev folds and Wong wins another pot.
It worked out well for him.
Well, we're going to hear from one of Mika's rail.
You're worse than
George
Tracy Morgan.
Clyde Smith finished 11th in this event, and he's back today to rail his new friend.
Well, basically, like with Joel Mika, I think it is pronounced. I was with him like all 20, from day 2. He was on my table all the time, and my friend's raiding, and he's got a load of friends raiding. So my friend made friends with him, and so basically I got friends with Joel and stuff like that. So and now I'm raiding him because he's still in. So basically we all getting a load of drinks and having a good time, you know. Because it's just what PCA 2030 main event.
And that's what we're talking about. You know, David Williams and I were talking about that the sense of community and camaraderie here at PCA it's just a really fun atmosphere. Everyone is socializing, having fun together afterward. The fact that 2 people on 2 competing rails, the rails make friends with each other. I mean, granted, people are generally pretty friendly in poker, but like your rail is your rail. They're screaming for one guy, you're screaming for another guy, and you're making friends with people on the rail. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, but when you're making deep runs, I mean, it's sort of weird. You become a little bit of a community amongst yourself. You know, when I made a deep run 2 years ago, you get to know the people that you're playing with because you're stuck with them for 12 hours.
Sure.
So, I mean, you become more familiar with them than a lot of other times, I guess.
I can tell that Niels has tweeted using the hashtag PCALive. It says, Chris, who do you think is the best poker player to have won the World Series main event since yourself?
Oh, he said since myself. I'm glad I didn't include myself in there. That would have obviously been the answer.
Maybe like 6-5.
You know, there's obviously been a few good players, a few other players. I don't know the best way to put it, but Merson looked really good this year. He looked really strong. I'm really good friends with Joe and Greg. They're both very competent, very good players.
Did you say?
But honestly, if I had to pick a person, I think
Jerry Yang. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there.
All right, well, I can't answer anymore. I would have gone with Merson. Would be my choice.
Oh, Andy.
Greg Merson.
Just looking at the coverage, I don't watch a whole lot of coverage, but I watched this year, and he played very, very solid all the way through. I was really impressed.
Obviously, the guys in the last few years have had the advantage of the coverage being live, so you've got to see every single hand. I think there is a tendency in previous years that someone may have played well throughout the tournament, but when they get to the final table, they got a little bit lucky, and then their reputation is, you know, they just kind of, the deck was hitting them in the face.
Yeah, it is different. I mean, you don't get coverage like this when we're sitting here commenting, telling what people have. I mean, you just don't get that every day. It's because of our good coverage, these people are so good.
Well, it's easier to make a determination now whether or not someone did, in fact, luck box their way into it, or we could say deserved it, quote unquote, a little bit more. I mean, because you can see all the hands, and when you're watching a 1-hour highlight show of a 8-hour final table, it's easy to look lucky.
I think someone told me that they saw 12 of my hands. 12.
Yeah, that's about average.
It's about what they saw of the final table. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I think, you know, maybe leading up to the final table, they saw maybe 3 of my hands. It wasn't. It's not like you see just tons of hands. So this coverage is really revolutionary. It does give you a good glimpse of what people do and how they think and how good they are.
You know, and there are people out there like Daniel Negreanu, for one, who go back and watch all of the live coverage, every second of it.
Yeah, which is crazy to me because the live coverage doesn't. I mean, you know, you can. I don't think you pick up that much because you cut away so much.
Raise.
Well, let's just pick up the action here. Wong's button raise has been re-raised by Danchev in the big blind. It's a 3-bet to 560,000.
It might work this time.
It does, in fact, work. Gets the 8-5 to fold.
Long's playing so tight.
I'm afraid we're going to have to say goodbye to you in a moment, Chris, because our next guest is standing by. We're looking right now at the High Roller, by the way, the High Roller event, which concludes tomorrow. At the moment, 20 players remain, and Vanessa Selbst has just become the tournament chip leader.
Well, I'll be back tomorrow for that, and that should be fun. I look forward to that with you guys.
Absolutely. 2 Eastern our coverage begins. Now, of course, Chris, you famously made it so close to the final table of this tournament in 2011. But
Famously, that's nice. That's good.
And we've got a guy who made the final table of this tournament in 2010. Ryan D'Angelo is standing
Awkward.
Back-to-back buttons. What do you show?
I love steak.
I wish you guys could see the looks that Moneymaker gives me.
Well,
If I didn't know better, I would be terrified.
You don't understand the stuff that me and Stapes have with each other. We got up at this morning early, and we had to do a host an award ceremony.
Which we'll be showing highlights here on the broadcast later on.
You have to understand Stapes' mentality to be in this booth and to actually survive. It's actually quite fun. But I look forward to it tomorrow. I'm going to hand it off here, and you know, I'll let the guy that made the final table get on the screen here.
Thanks,
You've won
Chris.
the
We'll see
World
you tomorrow.
Series. You don't deserve anything else.
Oh, yeah. Why am I feeling bad for you? Get out of here.
Thank you very much, Chris Moneymaker from Team PokerStars Pro. As three-handed action continues at this main event final table. And just a quick reminder of how this coverage is working. The hands you're seeing actually happened 40 to 45 minutes ago. But Joe and I are seeing them for the first time, along with you, on a delayed feed. And we're commentating live, which is why we can read your questions and your comments. You can hashtag them PCALive, or you can email nuts@pokerstars.tv.
Like to welcome to the booth my boy, Ryan D'Angelo.
What?
Otherwise known as Golfa.
What's up, everybody?
Used to pull out some pretty amazing feats in online poker tournaments back when he was an online player.
Yeah, back before the government took it away.
And he's made this final table before. Didn't make it to three-handed, though, I don't think.
Didn't. I came in fifth.
I think you had your meltdown long before
didn't
this.
have that many white chips. Those silver chips are powerful. Are they white? Are they silver, the 100 Kings?
We'll go with, I like silver. Free bet from Mick is going to take it down there.
You think Chris got offended back there?
Not at all.
I mean, I feel like if you're a main event champion, all the punches just roll right off.
I think so, and Chris knows me at this point.
You guys are bros.
He has to act offended. I think he's got a pretty good sense of humor. I think winning a main event, you have to develop some pretty thick skin.
Yeah, well,
Kids like Joe Cata just gets berated all the time for being a luck box, like still to this day.
Yeah.
So he takes it pretty well.
What did he hit like 4 2-outers at the final table or something?
Something like that, yeah.
2 to 4, between 2 and 4.
All right, it's time for some more Bahamas with Stapes. Atlantis at dusk. Day turning into night. Bikinis become cocktail dresses, and board shorts become affliction t-shirts. And as the hallways fill with the sweet smell of pomade and Red Bull, the daytime heat becomes nighttime passion. And eventually, that nighttime passion becomes morning regret. They don't call it magic hour for nothing. Back to the action here. Blind still at 60, 120,000 with a 10K ante. Danchev's min raised from the button, Jack 7. Action on Joel Mika. Dominated but suited. Looks like he's going to defend.
That was a 3-bet. It's a good hand to 3-bet, I would say.
650, 675.
It is a 3-bet.
75.
Not quite strong enough to call in the big blind, but every once in a while you can mix it up. Mix it up and 3-bet.
Always better to be the aggressor, right, Ryan?
Yep, that's true.
And it does work.
And not much you can do with Jack 7 there. I mean, can't really feel comfortable about peeling a flop there.
You know, sometimes people like to throw around the like suited cards that like add 1% to your equity or something, but like it sort of gives you the ability to be more aggressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Which adds a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Yeah.
here's our chip differences from the start of the level, this past level, 6120, and Wong continuing to add to his chip lead. Mika also faring well. Danchev losing nearly half his stack so far this level.
Raise.
Wong raising his button, 6-4 spades. Is this always a 3-bet, Ryan?
I would 3-bet this hand more likely than not.
Raise 675.
Danchev gets out of the way.
Yeah. Most of the hands that I'm playing in the small blind, 3-handed especially, I'm going to be just taking the lead in the hand. It's a lot easier to play. It also gets tough when you start a re-raising war with your opponent, but I mean, you just have to take the initiative in the hand.
Now 6-4, the kind of hand that Wong can take a flop with if he wants. Or
Yeah, I would be surprised if he folded here. How deep are they? 7. He has 7.5 million. Yeah, he's just gonna be calling here or 4-betting. I would assume, but I've been wrong before.
While doing live, everybody's wrong a decent amount of the time. But you know, 6-4 is the kind of hand that you've got solid equity most of the time.
Yeah, he's got position, deep stacks.
We are going to see a flop. 3 spades would be pretty interesting. We did not get 3 spades. 1 spade on the flop. Wong pairs his 6. Pretty strong on a board like this.
Yeah, he's got the backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw.
Mika continuing. He was the last aggressor, 3-betting pre-flop. 605,000 is the bet. Typically a spot just for a call, eh?
Yeah, I don't see him doing much else. It would be kind of sneaky to raise here, but he doesn't want to get re-raised, and yeah, just flatting is nice and simple play.
Ryan, if you recognize any of these folks on the rail.
I don't.
The bald fella, I met him one night. Unfortunately, he bought me too many drinks.
Oh,
I don't remember his name.
Kelly Golds, huh?
Yeah.
Were you with the Sands or the Kelly?
I was doing Kalik, yeah.
Kalik.
9 on the turn. Doesn't change much.
Yeah, this is interesting because Mika probably thinks Wong is floating this flop a fair bit, so he might still think he has the best hand. Hands like Jack-10 of clubs or Queen-Jack of clubs, I think are going to call this flop. So it'll be interesting to see what he does here if he faces a bet.
Do you think Wong bets, or he just wants to get to showdown with his 6?
Depends. I think a bet is a good play here. He can definitely get called by worse, I think, and he kind of wants to not give his opponent free 6 outs. So yeah, he's just gonna bet like 1.2 million probably, I would guess.
1.1 is the bet, Ryan.
Yeah, it's just a good bet. It's tough for him to do anything, and I expect Mika to check call here, and then river probably goes check on a lot of rivers.
Right, of course, when Ryan says river probably goes check, you know, that's sort of when a blank hits, which is most of the time.
Or even if like a queen comes off, or I don't see too many rivers that Wong would like feel comfortable value betting again. Because I mean, yeah, like in Wong's mind, Mika can still have pocket 7s here, even maybe jacks or something, because the top card paired on the flop.
I'm going to show you guys that in just a second. There it is.
Wow.
A fair bit of bromance happening here. How do you explain someone has a tattoo of Joel Mika on their chest? And I hope for broadcast standards purposes that that was a man's body we were looking at. Unless that's on his own chest, in which case I can sort of understand it. My tattoo is comparably sized of myself.
Your tattoo is not safe for broadcast.
No, it's really not. It's in a sensitive area. There's our current stacks. Dimitar Danchev slowly approaching danger zone. Only 33 big blinds left. Jerry Wong still up over 100 big blinds.
He's Canadian. We're all good.
Let's take it to the Twitter sphere. Loot the News asks, is there anything on the bridge between the two hotel towers, or is it just a walkway? Ryan, if you know the story about that, that's like a massive room.
Yeah, I know.
You can actually rent. It's like $100K a night, but with like a 5-night minimum or something to rent it out.
I believe it's the Michael Jordan suite. It has been named, or the Michael Jackson suite.
You can also be a degenerate blackjack player, I'm sure,
or
and get
that,
gamble
yeah.
millions playing blackjack like Jordan's been known to do. End up in that suite. $25K a night, minimum of 4 days.
Yeah,
that's
20,
it. So,
just 25K.
So it's 100 dimes to rent that thing, or like I said, you can sail off for a couple mill balls and blackjack.
Yep. But I imagine the view from that tower is just the best of anywhere.
I think the view from your hotel room, looking down it and not being able to see the other side, is probably also a great view.
I wonder if they have like a glass floor in there. That would be good.
Danchev's raised his button with at least an ace.
Hey, 605.
Wong 3-betting from the small blind, 2 8s. Mika gets out of the way.
It's easy to get off track with you, Stapleton. Back to the poker.
That's right, we got plenty of things to distract us here. Quick reminder on the password for the free roll, it's Dibella, D-I-B-E-L-L-A, as in John Dibella. Won this thing last year. I think we're about to find out just how good this other card is.
If Danchev decides to
605
move all in, he will be getting called, snap called.
Looks like it's just a call.
Yeah, so he probably has something like ace 9, ace 10, ace. I would imagine he would probably go all in with ace jack or ace queen.
Well, he's definitely got the best hand now.
Yeah, he has the best hand. And this is interesting because in Wong's mind, he's not thinking that Danchev would flat the re-raise with an ace. I don't think. So he is thinking his hand is best here most of the time. More likely hand to call the re-raise, jack 10 suited, queen jack offsuit, king queen.
Danchev's played a little bizarrely in that I wouldn't say he's necessarily afraid, but he doesn't 3-bet or come over the top very often. He calls a lot.
Yeah, I'd rather just see the flop and make decisions from there.
He's pretty good at bluffing with air. Like, he'll bluff, but when he's bet into, he's called with gut shots a couple of times and made them somehow both times.
Wow.
And so, from what we've seen, this isn't surprising that he would just call the ace. And if these guys are getting information, 40 minutes later, it's possible Wong may be able to put him on an ace a little more easily.
Gotcha.
But you never know. They're being told the hands after the fact. We're sitting here analyzing and talking about it.
I mean, it's an interesting play here to make a small raise, which will look bluffier than anything, in my opinion. If he flats, it just looks like he has an ace. Pretty much just an ace or a float. So yeah, I just like this play to 1.1 million, and Wong's just gonna think he's full of it, and
all right.
We'll call it a little bit of a string bet there. That it's not going to be 1.1 million. It's going to be 1 million even.
That's a bit picky by the floor guy, I think. Yeah.
Them's the rules.
Them is the rules. Wow, I'd be impressed if Wong just lays it down here.
You think that this looks bluffy enough?
Yeah, I don't see how Wong can fold here. But you never know. I mean, Danchev is representing that he has an ace. Will Wong believe him?
So if Wong doesn't think he has an ace, what kinds of hands is he flatting pre-flop and then raising this flop with? Just straight
Yeah, that's the thing. What would he do that with? You would think if he had something like a flush draw. Yep, there he goes. He just shoved it in. Yeah, yep, and he calls.
Danchev
and he
calls.
got it in very bad here. Nice raise by Danchev. I mean, just looked kind of buffy. It's a big misstep.
And Wong is, he's done this before. He's shoved. He was doubled through twice earlier today when he got super aggressive in just the wrong spot. He's done it again here. He worked his way back up the chip leader.
He has the key card though, Joe. 8 of spades. That could mean a lot.
Please explain.
A lot of turns improve him.
Wow, there we go.
Yeah.
The 6 does improve the 8 of spades on the turn. Wong has 7 outs. Otherwise, Danchev is going to double up. Let's see the river.
Danchev's thrown up here if he hits.
It's a 7.
Missed it. It's another big double up. These guys are firing these chips around.
Now, is that surprising to see these pots played so big?
No, three-handed poker is a lot of action. The blinds are big, but I don't like Danchev's flat call there with ace-4 offsuit, but hey, it worked out.
So Danchev doubles up to almost 8 million. Meanwhile, Wong and Mika are basically tied, 10.36 million and 10.35 million.